Now, earlier, I mentioned another film by Dylan, and that would be The Unspeakable. Bob McIlvaine is part of that film, but he's so much more. He's somebody who has fought for over 20 plus years for the truth about what has happened to his son, Bobby. So without further ado, I introduce to you Bob McIlvaine joining us remotely.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, the compliments. I don't usually get them. Okay, this is what I have to say. It's short. It's a short speech my wife and I made up ourselves. But my name is Robert McIlvaine. My wife and I lost our son, Bobby, on 9/11. Bobby was smart and athletic. Now I'm getting emotional. And loved life. Given everything he had, he believed that if he worked hard, that life would be good to him in return. I'll settle down. He was mistaken. My heart still hurts when I picture the moment he must have realized that life wasn't as beautiful or as fair as he believed it to be. In the years that followed his death, our small family, my wife, Helen, my son, Jeff, and I continue to honor Bobby on 9/11 by attending the ceremonies in New York City. Each of us took a turn saying Bobby's name at the podium. In that moment, we were transformed back to that awful day when our sweet boy died. We each hoped that he would somehow wake up from the painful nightmare. Instead, we continued to face the horrendous truth that he was gone. Now, so many years later, my daughter-in-law, Kelly, and each of our 4 grandchildren also take a turn at saying his name proudly at the podium. And the hurt continues, not only because we lost him, but also because the people of America do not know the full story of his death and the death of others that day. Sadly, the people of our country have moved on, and 9/11 is just something for the history books, like Pearl Harbor or the Civil War. Something to be mentioned briefly in school, never to be questioned. Years ago, a grief counselor explained to my wife and me that events like 9/11 in time lose their importance to everyone but those who were directly involved. I see that now. Americans have moved on. Other events take precedence. So the real truth about Bobby's death remains obscure, and how sad that is. So what is the real truth about that day? Let me start by asking some important questions. First, let's look at the planes. Anyone who gave that day a moment's thought must wonder, how could the 2 planes that crashed into those doomed skyscrapers be piloted by a couple guys who took a few lessons on a little Cessna? Just plain nonsense. But we saw a nation continue to believe that story. And why? With this country full of educated people and skilled engineers, don't we have more folks wondering how Building 7 could just drop to the ground in a neat, compact heap in the middle of the afternoon of that day, after the fires had been put out hours before? I ask myself these questions over and over. Why aren't more questioning? And exactly why was there no real official investigation of that day? It was a huge crime scene, but never treated as such. Metal from the fallen skyscrapers was removed almost immediately. Smaller and much more insignificant crimes in New York have received more investigative attention. Why is that? And in speaking of investigations, why did the 9/11 Commission rubber stamp the official story when so many witnesses stated otherwise? It was a total waste of good time and resources. I sat through most of it and again wondered why. Recently, a journalist on MSNBC was speaking about the present administration when she said, "Why trust them? Why take them at their word?" That's exactly what I'm asking about the administration of 2001. Why believe them? In 24 years, there has been no accountability, no truth, and no justice. Over the years, I've been forced to be my own detective without subpoena power, without discovery, without the ability to question people under oath, without the idea that would be held accountable to the full extent of the law if they were found to be lying. It certainly makes it hard to know the full story. Everything I have done Everything I have done for Bobby. Knowledge is power. Thank you.